Okay, so we have absolute value of 9x is less than or equal to 108. So we have 9x is less than or equal to 108, and 9x is greater than or equal to negative 108. And since you're multiplying, you're going to be dividing, so we divide by 9. So x is less than or equal to 12, and this will be, you're dividing by 9 again. So x is greater than or equal to negative 12. So here's negative 12, and it's closed circle, and it's greater. And then we have 12, closed circle, and it's less than. So the only one that satisfies that is C. You always remember you want to eliminate the wrong answers, okay? So the answer is C. Number 2, what is the solution set for this inequality? Remember, we have the absolute value of 6x minus 9 is greater than or equal to 33. So we have 6x minus 9 is greater than or equal to 33. And I'm going to move this a little bit to the left. And we have 6x minus 9 is less than or equal to negative 33. So we're going to add 9 to both sides. Remember that negative 9 plus 9 is 0, so we're left with 6x is greater than or equal to 33 plus 9, which gives you 42. We divide by 6, so x is greater than or equal to 7. So here is 7. It's closed dot since it's equal, and the numbers that are greater than 7 are to the right of 7. Now for the other inequality, we're going to have to add 9 to both sides. So we have 6x is less than or equal to negative 24. Divide by 6. So x is less than or equal to negative 4. So you go to negative 4, it's closed circle, and the numbers that are less are to the left. Complete the function. So remember that we have f of x, which is going to be y equals 4 minus x divided by 3. Now to find the inverse, we're going to have to switch the x and the y. So we have x equals 4 minus y divided by 3. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go to the process of solving for y. So you multiply by 3. You multiply by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 3 times x gives you 3x equals 4 minus y. At this point, we want y by itself, so we're going to subtract 4 from both sides. So I have 3x minus 4 equals negative y. And since we have a negative y, we have to divide by negative 1. So the inverse, in this case it's g of x, the inverse will be negative 3x plus 4. So it's negative 3x plus 4. What is the inverse of f of x equal 5x plus 6? So we're going to rewrite the f of x. We're going to say that's going to be replaced with y equals 5x plus 6. And now what you need to do is solve for y. Oh, you're going to switch, I'm sorry. So you have x equals 5y plus 6. And then go to the process of solving for y. So you're going to subtract 6. You're going to subtract 6. So what do you have? You have x minus 6 is equal to 5y. And then the last step is to divide by 5. Remember the symbol for inverse of f will be the f and then the negative 1. X equals x minus 6 divided by 5. So in this case, the answer is B. What is the inverse of the function? We have y minus 2 equals 3x. And what you want to do is you want to switch the x and the y. So you have x minus 2 equals 3y. And you notice the only one that has x minus 2 is c. So I'm thinking the answer is going to be c. The next step is to divide by 3. And sure enough, that is our answer, x minus 2 divided by equation x squared plus 10x minus 7 equals 0. So I know that a is 1, b is 10, and c is negative 7. Negative 7, so what I have is x equals negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac divided by 2 times a. So I have x equals, so the value of negative b is going to be negative 10 plus or minus square root parentheses 10 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 7 divided by 2 times 1. So let me evaluate the discriminant. So we have 10 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 7. Let's see what we get. So we get 128. So let me write x equals negative 10 plus or minus square root of 128 divided by 2. Now if I divide by 2, well, before I do this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the answers in decimal form. So this is going to help you on the test. So let's go ahead and type in control division, negative 10 plus the square root of 128 divided by 2. And I get 0.65. So x equals 0.65. Now if I go back up, enter, instead of having plus, I'm going to put minus, and I get negative 10.65. So I have x equals negative 10.65. Now, if I divide negative 10 divided by 2, I should get negative 5. So that tells me the answer is either B or C. So what I recommend you do is just put that in the calculator. Negative 5 plus negative 5 plus 3 square root of 2. So that doesn't give us either one. So now I'm going to try C. I'm going to try C. So what do I have? Negative 5 plus 4 square root of 2. And what do I get? 0.65. And if I go back up and I change it to minus, then guess what I'm going to get? Negative 10.65. So I found my answer. It's going to be C. Now, if I want to simplify with the perfect square, then the largest perfect square that goes into 128 is the square root of 64, and it goes in 2 times. So the square root of 64 is 8 square root of 2. So your answer is negative 10 plus or minus 8 square root of 2 divided by 2. So what is negative 10 divided by 2? Negative 5. And what's 8 divided by 2? It's 4. So your answer is C. So you can do it either way, okay? Okay, number 9, what are the roots of this equation? Remember to think of it as we're trying to find the solution. So we know that A is equal to 1, B is equal to negative 6, and C is equal to negative 3. I would like for you to use the quadratic formula. X equals negative B plus or minus square root B squared minus 4AC divided by 2 times A. So we have X equals 6. Since B is negative, it's going to be 6 plus or minus square root negative 6 minus 4 times 1 times negative 3 divided by 2 times 1. So let me go ahead and go to the calculator, evaluate the discriminant. It's negative 6 squared. So we have negative 6 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 3, and we get 48. Okay, so let me write x equals 6 plus or minus square root of 48 divided by 2. Now you notice it's not here, but you can write the decimal equivalent. So you just got to go to the next step. So we have 6 plus the square root of 48 divided by 2. So the first one is 6.46. And then you can also do the second answer, but just write a minus here. So the answer that we're looking for is 646, or x equals negative 0.46. So obviously it's not going to be answer B nor C. So it's between A or D. So I'm gonna just select A. So I have, and you can pick A or D. You want to give me the decimal. So you just got to put in the calculator. 3 plus 2 square root of 3, and we get 6.46. So that's one of our answers. And then if you want to go back and check the next answer, it's minus, and there it is. So your answer will be A. So just remember to work it out, to write it in decimal form. That's probably the easiest thing to do for the tests, okay? The solution of the inequality is this, right? What is the negative value of k? So what I recommend that you do is, let's go ahead and write this down. So we have 3 over 4, the absolute value of 12 plus x minus 4 is less than or equal to, now 6.5, you want to put 6.5, you can. Okay, so remember how I taught you, you got to address everything that's outside the absolute value. So you're going to add 4 to both sides. So you have 3 over 4, and then you have the absolute value of 12 plus x. Negative 4 plus 4 is 0, so you have less than or equal to 6.5 times plus 4 is 10.5. So now you have a fraction, 3 over 4. If you want to make it into a decimal, make it into a decimal. So you have 0.75, absolute value, 12 plus x is less than or equal to 10.5. So if you want to divide by 0.75, you can. So this cancels and this cancels, that's going to be 1. So you have the absolute value of 12 plus x is less than or equal to, and if you want to go to the calculator, go to the calculator, and you have 10.5 divided by 0.75. So it's 14. So now it becomes manageable. So now I can solve this, okay, without any problems. So you have the absolute value of 12 plus x is less than or equal to 14. So it's 12 plus x is less than or equal to 14, and 12 plus x is greater than or equal to negative 14. So we have x is less than or equal to 2. Isn't that right here? X is less than or equal to 2. And then the other one, we subtract subtract 12. So you have x is greater than negative 28. So x is greater than or equal to negative 28. So the answer is, what is the negative value of k? So it's negative 28. It does look ugly, but I know you can do it, and we're going to practice it. I'm gonna make some do nows and exit tickets on this, and you'll get used to it, okay? The solution of the inequality is 15 minus 2, absolute value of 5 minus 3x is less than or equal to 1. So just focus your attention on this here, and let's solve that first, and then we'll continue reading, okay? So we have 15 minus 2, absolute value of 5 minus 3x is less than or equal to 1. So we want the absolute value by itself, so we subtract 15 first. So we have negative 2, absolute value 5 minus 3x is less than or equal to 1 minus 15 is negative 14. Remember, we want the absolute value to be by itself. So we divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2. So we have absolute value of 5 minus 3x is less than or equal to negative 14 divided by negative 2. Negative 14 divided by negative 2 is 7, but remember, when you divide by a negative, the inequality sign will change, so it's not less than, it's going to be greater than or equal to. So now we have 5 minus 3x is greater than or equal to 7, and we have 5 minus 3x is less than or equal to negative 7. We subtract 5 from both sides. So we have negative 3x is greater than or equal to 7 minus 5 is 2. Divide by a negative 3. So x is less than or equal to negative 2 over 3, which is right here. X is less than or equal to negative 2 over 3. So now we got to find the value of k, which is the other inequality. So we have to subtract 5. We have to subtract 5. So we have negative 3x is less than or equal to negative 7 minus 5 is negative 12. Divide by negative 3. So x is greater than or equal to 4. It's a lot of steps, and these are things that you got to remember. So your answer for k is 4. Which of the following expression is equivalent? And you notice that we have this expression and we have all these factors, and they're factored here, right? This is in factored form. This is in factored form. You notice they factored a 3, possibly, and they factored an x. Now, if you notice, this is 21x squared, this is 165x squared, and this is 24x. So yes, we can factor out an x. Now, 21, 165, and 24 are divisible by 3. So you have a 3. So what do you multiply 3x to get 21x cubed? Well, 3 times what gives you 21? It's 7. And then it's going to be 7x squared. Now, if you have to use your calculator, you can. We have 165 divided by 3, which gives you 55. So you have minus 55x, and then minus 24 divided by 3. 24 divided by 3 is 8. And we did factor an x, so that's 8. So now we're going to go ahead and factor 7x squared minus 55x minus 8. You're going to do the slip and divide method. So we have 7 times negative 8. So it's negative 56. And you notice that negative 56 times 1, or we have 7 times negative 8, or negative 8 times 7. And if we start adding, you know that this is going to be it, negative 56 and 1. Because negative 56 plus 1 gives you negative 55. So what you have is, you had originally 3x. Now you have what we just finished taking out the 7. So you have negative 56. So now what you have is 3x. And then the first factor is x minus 56 times x plus 1. And since we took out the 7, we're dividing by 7. So we have 3x parentheses x, and what's 56 divided by 7? Minus 8. And this 7 we can't have there. We have to kick it up to the, we have to put it next to the x, so it's 7x plus 1. So the factors are 3x. The next factor is x minus 8, and then the next factor is 7x plus 1. So it's going to be A. So you notice that you could factor a 3, so that one's out. So now you had the decision between C or D. You could have eliminated C because you can also factor an x. So it would have been between A or D. It would have been between A and D. Okay, so your answer is A. Which of the following expression is equivalent? Now you notice that with this is 36x cubed, this is 30x squared, this is 50x. What do they have in common? They have an x in common, so you can take out the x. Now, for sure, it might have the x here like that, okay? So we can eliminate D because we can factor an x. So now it's between A, B, and C. I got to check, is 36 divisible by 2? And the answer is yes. Is 30 divisible by 2? The answer is yes. Is 50 divisible by 2? The answer is yes. When I say divisible, that means you can divide by 2. 36 divided by 2 is 18. 30 divided by 2 is 15. And 50 divided by 2 is 25. So you take out, you factor the 2. Well, that tells you that B is gone. So now it's between A or C. So we have 2x parentheses 18x squared plus 15x minus 25. Okay. So when I multiply 25 times 25 times 18, I get 450. So you're going to have 2x parentheses x squared plus 15x minus 450, right? So I have the negative 450, and definitely I have negative 25 times 18, and I don't think that's going to work. So 450 divided by 20, 450 divided by 30. I'm just picking numbers. 450 divided by 30. 30 and 15. 30 and 15, one of them has to be negative. Well, guess what happens when it's 30 times negative 15? 30 times negative 15 gives you negative 450. So 30 plus negative 15 gives you 15, so that's going to work. So you have 2x parentheses x plus 30, x minus 15. Remember, we took out the 18, so we have to divide by 18. Okay, you're going to have to simplify, and if you want to use your calculator, you can. 30 divided by 18 is 5 over 3. So you have 2x parentheses x plus 5 over 3, x minus, you have 15 divided by 18. So you have 5 over 6. So the factors are 2x times 3x plus 5, 6x minus 5. So your answer is C. Now you're probably saying, well, sir, this is very difficult. Okay, so you see how I eliminated answers? You could always multiply if you wanted to. 3x times 6, it's 18. 5 times negative 5 is negative 25, right? And then 3x times negative 5 is negative 15. 5 times 6 is 30. And so you could have multiplied and get the answer instead of doing it the long way. You could have done it that way too. Which of the following is represented by a parabola with a vertex at the origin? So we have the y-axis, we have the x-axis, and we have the focus, which is negative 3, 0, 1, 2, 3. So the focus is right here. The vertex is right here, so it's opening this way. The directrix is 1, 2, 3. So it's going to be x equals 1 over 4c times y squared, because it opens to the left. The value of c is negative 3. So you have x equals 1 over 4 times negative 3 y squared. So x equals 1 over negative 12 y squared. We did a lot of examples like this. So your answer is, now how can we, testing strategies, how well can we eliminate? We can eliminate B and we can eliminate C. So now our answer is between A and D. And so the answer will be, okay, A is positive, so that's wrong. So your answer is D. With a vertex at 4, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's 4, 6. That's the vertex. 1, 2, which is 2 units up. That's where the the directrix is. So remember that the vertex to the directrix is 2 units. So we go down 2 units. So the focus is at 4, 4, and it's going to face down. Remember that the equation should be y equals 1 over 4c parentheses 1 over 4c x squared. So we're looking for the equation that has x squared. So it's either going to be D, because you have x minus 4 squared, or it's going to be x minus 6 squared. So this one's going to go left, and this one's going to go left or right, because it's y minus 4 squared. So that's going to be wrong, and this is going to be wrong. So now the answer is between these two. The minus 4 tells us that we go to the right 4 units. The minus 6 means we go to the right 6 units. So your answer will be D. Now, if you want to check, just go to menu and go to relation and type in x minus 4, right, squared equals negative 8 parentheses y minus 6. Press enter. And there's my graph. It's right there. 16, anything dealing with graphing, just go ahead and just graph it. It says what are the vertex? It's either going to be the highest and maximum point, and then the axis of symmetry. We talked about that in class. So we type in x squared minus 16x, right? Plus 63, right? So we have x squared minus 16x plus 63. Press enter. And you notice here is the minimum point. So if you want to go get the minimum point, just analyze graph. Minimum point So the minimum point is 8, -1. So we have 8, -1. So the only one that it could be is C. And you remember that the axis of symmetry is the x value. It goes through the vertex, so your answer is C. 17, I recommend that you use your calculator. At what value of x is the vertex of the parabola? What value of x is the vertex of the parabola with the equation located? So go ahead, I'm going to make a new graph. And so you have -2x squared minus 8x plus 3. And you might have to move this up or zoom, menu zoom out. Now remember, the vertex is at the highest point in this case. So analyze the graph, look for the maximum point. So what is the maximum point? It's -2, 11. Which is the x value? It's -2. So your answer is -2. That's what you would type in the calculator or in Eduforia. 18, what are the vertex and the axis of symmetry? So once again, it's another one that you have to graph. Just graph, and go ahead and type in 2x squared plus 24x minus 16. Now you notice you can't see it, so you might have to zoom out. And I think you're gonna have to go down here. And if you want to zoom out, you can. And so there, I zoomed out. And you notice here's the lowest point. So go to menu, analyze graph, intersection, menu, analyze graph, intersection. I'm sorry, minimum. So the minimum, I don't know why I was saying intersection. So the minimum is -6, -88. So we have -6 and -88. -6 and 88, so that's wrong. This says 6 and -88, so that's wrong. So it's between these two. Which is the x value? It's -6, so your answer is a quadratic function is shown in the grid below. What is the range of the function? So the range of the function, it goes from the lowest, which in this case it's -infinity, and it goes to the highest, which is -2. So it's bracket -infinity, comma, -2, and it is bracket. This is parentheses. That's what I meant to say by parentheses. So this would be the interval notation. That's interval. Remember, infinity, you will have a parentheses. Now, if you want to write down the inequality, it would be y is less than or equal to -2. So this one says y is less than or equal to -2. Y is greater than or equal to -2. That would be wrong. -2 to infinity, this would be wrong. The correct way to write this would be to use this notation. So that would be the correct way. So on the test, just make sure that you pick this one because that is a proper way. We do this in class, but this is the proper way. Either one, if I look at the test, I'll give you the credit. The solution set for a quadratic inequality is shown. Which inequality best represents the graph? Now, here you have a broken boundary, so that automatically eliminates A. That eliminates A. That also eliminates C. So now it's between B and D. And once again, you can use your calculator, use your graph. So I'm going to type in Y, or I'm going to go to menu, graph, relation. So we have y is greater than -x squared, right? Plus 6x minus 5. And that appears to be the answer. So the answer is B. Now, if you want to check the other one, you can. So I have -1/2 parentheses x minus 3 squared plus, these are close. I thought the answer would be B, but I think the answer is D. The answer is, what I did is I went ahead and graphed this equation, and I'm going to match it up. I'm going to match it up with this graph, so I'm going to kind of zoom in here. So we have 0, 0, -2.5, and that's right there. 1, 0, 2, and 1.5, 3 and 2, 4 and 1.5. So the answer is the last one that I showed you, which was, the answer is D. I went ahead and graphed the equation, so the answer is D. It says a quadratic inequality is shown below, which represents the solution to the quadratic inequality. So go to menu, graph entry, and relations. So I have y is less than or equal to negative 0.5 parentheses x minus 3 squared plus 8. And you notice that our boundary is going to be a solid line, so we definitely know that it won't be A. And we also know that B has a wrong solution set. So now it's between C or D, and this one was straightforward, so your answer is C. So 23, I'm going to work out. So I have negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. Negative 4 times I is negative 4i. Negative 6 times 1 is minus 6. And negative 6 times I is negative 6i. So we have negative 4 minus 6 is negative 10. So we have negative 10 here. And negative 4i minus 6i is negative 10i. So it's negative 10i. I thought there was an I here, but there's no I here. Now, if you want to check, I recommend you always check with the calculator. So we have negative 4 minus 6 parentheses 1 plus I. So control pi, enter, and we got negative 10 minus 10i. 24, let's go ahead and work it out. So we have 1 times 5 gives you 5. I'm going to use the FOIL method. 1 times negative 3 gives you negative 3i. Negative 14i times 5 is negative 70i. 14 times 5 is 0, 2, so it's 70. And then negative 14 to negative 3, which is positive. So I have 14 times 3 is 42. So you have 42i squared. So you have 5 minus 73i, and then you have 42i squared. So that's going to give you negative 42, and so it should be negative 37 minus 73i. So if you want to, I recommend all of you check with the calculator. So we have 1 minus 14i, and then we have 5 minus 3i, enter, and that's what I got. If you want to eliminate answers, if it's I squared, they would probably simplify, so I could probably eliminate this one. And I squared, I would have to simplify further. So yeah, you would have eliminated 2, but it's either A or B. In this case, it was A. What positive value of x makes the equation true? So if you want, I'm okay with you solving by graphing if you want. So I'm going to go to the graph here. So here's a graph. I have 8 absolute value. Remember where absolute value is. Absolute value. And I have 8 minus 2x, right? Enter. Now you can press tab. And the right side is 16. Now you don't see it. So you could go menu, zoom. And there you see it. Now we're interested in the positive value of x. We're not interested in this value. We're interested in this value since it's positive. So go to menu, analyze graph, intersection. So the x value is 12. The positive x value is 12. Once again, I'm okay with you solving this in the calculator. It says what negative value of x makes the equation true. So go to graph and go to absolute value, and you have 4x plus 6, correct? Press enter and press tab. So you have 2x plus 27. You're not going to see the line, so if you want to zoom out, you can zoom out. Now we're interested in the negative value, so the negative value is right here. So go to menu, analyze graph, intersection. So this one is a negative value, so you notice it's negative 5.5. So in Eduphoria, you would type negative 5.5. 27, consider the expression. So I have 12 plus 3i minus 6, and you have 1 minus 4i. So distribute, so you have 12 plus 3i minus 6 plus 24i. 12 minus 6 gives you 6, plus 24 plus 3 gives you 27i. Remember to use your calculator to check. Always use your calculator to check. That's what I taught you in class. So parentheses 12 plus 3i, right? 3i minus 6, parentheses 1 minus 4i. Press enter. And I think that's what we got, 6 plus 27i. Which expression is equivalent? We have 2 and 5. So 2 plus 5 is 7. 7i minus 4i is plus 3i. So your answer is B, but let's check with our calculator. Parentheses 2 plus 7i, right? And then you have plus parentheses 5 minus 4i, enter, and that's what we got, 7 plus 3i. It says here, what are the solutions? Remember, when solving this, you can do it by graphing, you can do it by factoring, you can use a quadratic formula. You notice here, we don't have any square roots, so I'm going to do it by graphing. So all you have to do, I'm going to solve this by graphing, so go to graph new, and I'm just going to type it in, x squared minus 9x plus 18, enter, and there's your parabola. Press tab and go ahead and put in 0, and it's going to be the intersection. So control menu, analyze graph, intersection. So the first answer is 3. So you have 3, negative 3, 3, and negative 3. So your answer is either going to be A or C. So B's gone and D's gone. Now go to menu, analyze graph, intersection. So we have 6. So the answer is A. Now if you want to check, you can just substitute, but we know graphically, we know it's true. So that's the answer, okay? Greg buys apples, bananas, and kiwis on the fruit stand. The first week he pays $3.19. So we have $3.19, $3.19, $3.19. I don't see $3.19 in D, so I don't think the answer is D. So now my chances of getting it right is A, B, and C. Okay. The first week, and it's for 2 apples, 2 apples, 2 apples, 6 apples, 3 bananas, 3 bananas. So it's not going to be A, and it's not going to be C. So the answer has to be the letter B. So let's continue. It says 2 apples, 3 bananas, and 2 kiwis. The second week he pays $4.12. So it's 3 apples, 4 bananas, and 2 kiwis. And then the third week he pays $3.01, which is an apple, and a banana, and 4 kiwis. So your answer is B. There were 350 tickets sold for the spring concert at the local high school. Adult tickets cost $4. Student tickets cost $2.50, and senior tickets cost $2. There were 40 fewer senior tickets sold than student tickets. So let me underline that. That's important. There were 40 senior tickets sold than student tickets. So X is for student tickets. Oh, no, adult tickets, because the adult tickets are $4. And Y is student tickets. And Z is, this is senior, student, and adult. So altogether, they sold 350 tickets. So that one shows 350 tickets. This one shows, that one is 350 tickets. 1,095 is what was collected. So X, Y, and Z, those are tickets, so that can be it. X, Y, and Z, that is tickets, that's the price. So the answer is between A and D. So how much was the adult tickets? It was $4. The student ticket was $2.50. So the adult was $4. The student was $2.50. and the senior was $2, okay. And they collected $1,095, so that kind of matches that. So it says if there were 40 fewer seniors sold than students. So student tickets, there was more student tickets. So it would have to be Z, which is seniors, and we have student tickets. It was 40 fewer than student tickets. So your answer is D. That has to be it. What is the sum of X, Y, and Z? So not only do you have to solve it, but once you have X, Y, and Z, you have to add them. So you go to menu, go to calculator, menu, algebra, solve system of linear equations. You have 3. Okay, so you're going to type in 2x plus 4y minus 2z, and it equals 3, right? The next one is 4x plus y minus z, and that equals $0. I'm sorry, that equals 0. And then we have x plus 2y plus 2z equals 0. So you got to make sure that your coefficients are correct. 2, 4, negative 2, and 3, 4, 1, negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 2. Okay, press enter. Okay, so you have negative 2 over 7 plus 9 over 14 plus negative 1 over 2. So you can do that in the calculator. So you have negative 2 divided by 7 plus 9 divided by 14 plus negative 1 divided by 2. And so you get negative 1 over 7. What is the value of z in the system of the equations below? So you're going to go to menu, algebra, solve system of linear equations, type 3. Okay, so you're going to type in x plus 2y plus 3z equals 9. And then you have x minus y minus z equals negative 1. And then the last one, we have 2x plus y minus 2z equals 4. So we have x plus 2y plus 3z equals 9. We have x minus y minus z equals negative 1. We have 2x plus y minus 2z equals 4. Press enter. So I know that z, I know it's 2. I know I have 2, comma 1. So z is going to be 1, so you put 1 there into Eduphoria. Number 34, it says a system of linear equations is shown below. Which of the following matches? Remember, this has a greater than symbol, but these are solid lines. So we know that A and we know that B is not the answer. And if we look over here, it's going to be either C or D. So our chances of getting it right are 50-50. So go to menu, go to graph, and then go to menu, graph entry function, go to menu, graph entry, relation. So here's a relation. So we have y, and then we have control equals is greater than x, enter. And then the other one is go to menu, graph entry, relation. So we have 5x minus 2y is greater than negative 2. So the answer will be this part right here, the fuchsia part. So the answer is not in the blue and it's not in the pink. It's going to be in the fuchsia. So your answer is D. 35. Which of the following graph shows the solution set of the system? So I'm going to relation, go to relation. So y is greater than x plus 1. And if I click on it, okay, it's broken. So it's either going to be A, B, or C. Now, X is a vertical line, and you see that that's a horizontal line. So that won't be it, and that won't be it. And so it's either C or D. So I'm going to go ahead and type in tab. So I'm going to type in X is less than or equal to negative 3. And you notice that the answer will be in the pink here. So your answer is C. Anna graphs this line. So I'm going to graph it just like Anna, 4x plus 2. And she also graphs a parabola, 4x squared minus 15x minus 3, and we press enter. Now, this continues, so I'm going to probably have to zoom zoom out more. So I'm going to go to menu, zoom out. So you see the two intersection points. Go to menu, analyze graph, intersection. So the first intersection is negative 0.25, which that's a quarter, and it's 1. So this is a quarter. So this one is multi-select. So this can be an answer, and I'm going to graph the next. I'm going to figure out the answer to the other one. So menu, analyze graph, intersection, which is 5 and 22. So in this problem, you might have a multi-select answer, so you have to select two answers here. What transformation would occur to arrive to the new function? So we've talked about transformations. The problem with this equation is the y isn't equal to itself, or you don't have the equation solved for y. So you're going to have to add 2 to both sides. So we have the absolute value of x plus 3 plus 2. So the 2 tells you that we're going to go up 2 units, and the 3 goes, you're going to go to the right 2 units. So you go up 2 units and 3 to the left. I mean, not right, 3 to the left. So your answer is B. So let's say that you get nervous when you take the test. You can always go to relation, and just type it in. So you have y minus 2 equals, and then we have the absolute value. We have the absolute value of x plus 3, and we know that x plus 3 is going to shift to the left, right? And then we're going to shift up, so that there it is. It says the graph of the function is shown below. So my vertex is -4. The vertex is -4, 5. It says if the graph is translated 3 units to the right, so I have 1, 2, 3, and it goes down 8 units, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the new vertex is at -1, -3. So I know that the equation is going to the right 1 unit, and it's going to go down 3 units. So obviously A is not going to be it because it goes down 3 units. D is not it, so it's between B and C. So your answer is the 1 plus 1. That goes to the left and it goes down 3. When comparing this function and this function, which transformation of the parent function will result in graph? Okay, that plus 8 means that it goes up 8. So it's either going to be B or D. So that's out and that's out. When you have the negative inside the radical, it's gonna reflect over the x over the y-axis. So your answer is D. And if you want, you could type it in into the calculator. So press tab. You have y equals the square root of x. Now if you go to tab, y equals, and then you have square root of -x, and then you add 8. So it's going to go up 1 and then reflect over. You're going to reflect over the y-axis. You see that? Which graph of the function will result in this? So the plus 4 means it goes up 4, so it's not A. So your answer is B. And like I said before, you can just graph it. So the square root, and then you have outside the radical plus 4. How does a graph compare? Well, you see that plus 3? It's going to move it up. Anything's going to move it up. So is 3 units to the right? No. 3 units to the left? No. 3 units. So your answer is D. And you can check by graphing. So just put a 3 here, and it just goes up. The table below defines a function. What is the inverse of k? So what you have to do is to find the inverse of k, you got to switch the x to the y value. So the inverse of k, the inverse of k. So it's 2, -5, it's 10, -1, it's 14, 1, 16, 2, 36. So the inverse of 2 is -5. So the inverse of 2, the input is 2, the output is -5. It says the graph of g of x is graphed below. I'm going to go ahead and plot some points, and then I'm going to see what I have. I have 6, 0, I have 0, 2, I have 6, 4, 6, 4. And so I was just using the points here, and I have 9, 9, 5. Make a table. I just plotted points that I'm able to graph to see those ordered pairs. And now I'm going to write the inverse, or I'm going to come up with the inverse. So I have 0, 6, 2, 0, 4, 6, and 5, 9. So the inverse of this graph, of course, this is g of x, and this is the inverse of g. So the input is 4, so the output is 6.